I raise a glass to Wynona Carr, one of the most inventive singer-songwriters of the 20th century, of gospel and R&B music. She died forgotten, unrecognised, and having suffered from TB and depression in 1976. So not many people have heard of her. She, I guess, fulfills some of the cliché of a tragic female African-American jazz singer like Billie Holiday or Ella Fitzgerald, or earlier blues singers like Bessie Smith. But Wynona Carr is fantastic, and I'm glad to have an opportunity, just a few moments, to say why I think she deserves more recognition. She was born in 1924 in Cleveland, Ohio. She began recording in 1949. And the record label gave her a title, because she was singing gospel music, they gave her the title Sister. So she's known as Sister Wynona Carr, although she wasn't part of any religious order. She wasn't at all impressed by this, and she said it made her sound as if she was 90 years old, and she wanted them to drop that title. But she kept the title, the record label kept the title, because they thought it would help her sell more records. In the 1950s, she was choir director at the New Bethel Baptist Church in Detroit, singing and improvising. And the minister there was a minister, Pastor Franklin, and who was in the choir that Wynona Carr was directing, but his daughter, Aretha Franklin. She has untold influence, Wynona Carr. Why do I raise a glass to her? She was ahead of her time, to the extent that some of her improvisations in terms of her blues and gospel singing was considered too radical. Quite a lot of her records were not released. As a woman on the gospel singing circuit, she was often taken advantage of. There was one story where her pianist, accompanier, said that they turned up to a venue, the venue was packed with people, and the venue manager said they just didn't have enough money to pay her, but she went on and sang anyway. She was often taken advantage of. Nothing was straightforward, nothing was easy. She was really a voice before her time. She was controversial because she fused the images and singing styles of a nightclub with the faith and lyrics of the church. And because she fused those things, her record label wouldn't release some of her records. She didn't have a kind of a pure gospel voice. She was a contralto, husky and sexy. She sang gospel like that. She used imaginative metaphors in her songs. She wrote her own songs from everyday American life in order to sing her faith. One of her most famous songs was called The Ball Game, where Jesus and the devil play each other in a ball game. She also used boxing as a way of communicating the faith. 15 Rounds with Jesus was another of her famous hits. But she also sent up the popular cop show of the time with perhaps one of her most recognisable songs, which was called Dragnet for Jesus. And if you do want to hear any of Wynona Carr's songs, any of her music, then that's the title of the compilation album that's currently available, Dragnet for Jesus. Again, that was a record that wasn't released because it was too risky. She often got her ideas from newspaper headlines. So what she did was she improvised over the standard jazz formula chords. And if you listen now to records by Whitney Houston or more contemporary singers like Rihanna or Adele, you can hear the same riffs that Wynona Carr was using, singing one syllable to many, many, many notes and going on and on and on with that kind of improvisation. She also didn't do what other gospel singers were doing of the time, which was to hold on to a really long note to express something. That wasn't the way that she kind of wanted to express passion. She kept moving, so the melody kept moving and the rhythm kept moving. So she really was inventive, improvisational, and definitely ahead of her time. She recorded one version of the Lord's Prayer, and again, it wasn't released by her record company simply because she improvised too much. She would sing a line of the Lord's Prayer and then put her own line, her own prayer, in with the text of the Lord's Prayer. And she improvised too much in her singing. She was helped in this by her pianist, who often put really unusual jazz chords underneath, like he did in the Our Father. And she bent notes. She used what's called blues notes. She used her chest voice, which was gutsy and sensual. She sang, for example, I have a little go. I can't do Wynona Carr, obviously, but she sang like this. Lord Jesus. I've probably blown the microphone now. But Lord Jesus. Now that sounds absolutely normal, but then it was really radical to bend notes like that and to sing in that kind of chest voice and not sing Lord, Lord. It's a different way of singing. I use her music in a very specific way myself. During Holy Week, when we tell the story, the betrayal of Jesus, the trial, conviction and crucifixion, I can never write my Easter Day sermon before the end of Good Friday. I just can't seem to get there spiritually. So what I do every year now is after Good Friday and on Holy Saturday, on Easter Eve, I put on Wynona Carr, because she somehow gets me into the joy of the resurrection by being the bridge. She is a voice for our time. Just by singing in the way she did, she fused life as it is and life as we imagine it could be. She joined up, for want of a better phrase, Saturday night and Sunday morning. She saw no difference in those two things. She didn't put on a different voice for God or church, and she sang the same, whether it was about love or poverty or violence or God. And because she did it first, she couldn't really be heard. Her nervous, commercially minded record label literally silenced her by not releasing her records. Why do I raise a glass to Wynona Carr? Because she was a voice ahead of her time, and she, a female, black, faithful, inventive voice who influenced other great singers but didn't get the recognition she deserved. Thank you.